Well, today we are talking football, and I'm delighted to welcome Paul McNeill, the Head of Community Development for the SFA. Hi there, Paul. How are you today?
I'm very well, Rhona. Yourself?
Just about getting there. What are your responsibilities as Head of Community Development?
How do we get more people playing the game? How do we make sure the game is for all? I think is a big one for me. I'm delighted to say after a number of years we don't hear the terminology that often of boys' clubs. So it's about getting everybody involved in the game. I'm so proud that I went to the World Cup, believe it or not, last year, and our fantastic women's team done us so proud, and we get more girls in the game. But then in our para side as well, how do we make sure the game's available for all? We get as many people in it, and as I always say, we keep them in it. The walking football group has become a fantastic thing for us, and it's a social element. You've got to think, particularly for that kind of maybe that male group that find life quite challenging and maybe don't have the social circles, that we created something that they could turn up once a week, have that cup of coffee, get a bit of physical activity, but more importantly, chat. And I think that social bit is so important to people.
So if you were to add up all those groups, how many people in Scotland would you say are involved in community football?
So from your volunteer that might make the coffee, to the person that does the kit, to the volunteer that takes the money, so on and so forth, and to every player, and that's the players that play recreational as well. We came to a figure of something in the region of 750,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the one that we made. And then when you looked at the economic return that came, and I always remember this number because you kind of go, wow, wait a minute, that can't be right. We came out at annually £1.25 billion to the economy. So it's just ridiculous because of everything you want, infrastructure, people involved in the game. It's an astronomical amount of people.
So obviously in March, everything came to a standstill. Yeah. What has that been like in your household? You've got a boy who's desperate to play football. What has it been like for him to lose that identity, that participation?
So for Shay, I think it's been my responsibility, and I think as a dad, and I think I look at all mums and dads throughout the country, we've taken a responsibility out. My wife has learned how to play volley. She goes out and probably never shown an interest or even participate in the game, but she will go out. We need to get the wall off cast again because there's nothing on it anymore. But she'll go out because she knows that hitting that ball against the wall helps. The one thing I've learned, and I think this is one thing that I've learned and listened to a lot of mums and dads, is it's the little bit that people open up on. So Shay quite likes playing volley because he likes to have a chat with mum. And that's so important just now. When we can't physically see each other, we're able to do more. So if you think about what we've kind of ended up in phase 2, we now can go and see a couple of families. It's quite a sweet moment. I went to see my friends. We walked round to just the local park with one of my friends, and we put the ball down. And they hadn't seen each other for a number of weeks just due to the circumstances. So we had a bit of a blather, which was good. And we looked over, and here the two boys were just dribbling the ball about, staying apart. They knew the rules. They knew that we didn't need to kind of keep going and saying, take 2 metres apart. They knew what they were to do.
Do you think, as you plan and prepare, that parents actually have a valuable part now to play? Because if they can get their kids doing the right thing while they're still in small groups, yes, that will mean that when you get back to your clubs, everybody's with the programme.
Yeah. We always talk passionately about the role that our parents play. So through our kind of club development programmes, we've always encouraged every club to have parents' nights. Parents play a huge role, and we speak about that very passionately. It's not just them turning up and throwing their child out of the car and us dealing with it. What we'll be able to do with parents is they will have a role to play as we gradually come back about, right, remember that we're going to have to sanitise every time.
Get the sanitizer as usual, put on your hands.
Remember physical distance training. Remember you're going to have to clear the pitch before other people come on. So they will play this huge important role as we all come back, that we've all got a role to play. So they will be vital as we come back.
How does it make you feel knowing that 750,000 people are not able to engage in their passion?
it makes me want to get us back at the right time, when it's safe to do so, when public health allows. We have a responsibility, and I have a responsibility to ensure that we bring the game back in the appropriate manner, at the appropriate time, because people are missing it, and I know that, and it doesn't sit well with when you look and you see football pitches empty and there's no nets up and you don't hear the noise. So we have to do it, and I know people will want to do it tomorrow morning, but we have a duty of care.
I'm interested to hear what you think about the mental health side of things, the fact that the community is not able to go and have their regular exercise, their regular meet up with people.
We have to encourage young people when they meet up to communicate, to speak to each other, to say, how are you feeling? How was lockdown? Doesn't matter if they're 5 or 55. And that will help them. And that will stimulate that bit of conversation, make people feel good. Because that's what our beautiful sport does. It allows people to talk, and allows people to have that conversation in an informal manner. Our walking football guys who, I mean, they're a group that we have to get back, but there's so many restraints on that at this moment in time. We miss football. Why? Because we utterly love it. So when you think about the 750,000 people we talk about, everybody is standing at that door with a ball peeking out going, when can I go? When can I go?
This is this week's lockdown challenge from Mulgai Football Club. Let's see what I can do.
Well, what would happen if there's no vaccine found? What does that do to the game as we know it, to tackling, to the physical contact? Presumably, you can't be testing your 750,000 people to, the professional game has that benefit. The community game doesn't. What is your biggest fear about all of this?
Yeah, I think you look around at other countries and you're starting to see contact in other countries. So you've seen Australia back playing football, you're seeing New Zealand. So you know there's hope out there. We're not in a bit where we can't look and say, is there other places doing the activity? So we can look and we can say, right, okay. So I think what we've got to do is we've got to look at staging this, and we've got to follow the public health advice. For our clubs, there's a lot of changes that are going to have to be made around about their facility, make sure their facilities are fit for purpose, and make sure the processes are fit for purpose for when they go back. So clubs will need to think about having maybe that COVID-19 coordinator there, who's responsible to knowing what right sanitation do I need to have? Do I need to have points at all my places to make sure people can do it? How do people get to the games? How do they get to training? Now, when I mentioned the 750,000, I used to be always very proud when I would turn up to venues and there'd be thousands of people there. You'd be parking 4 miles from the thing, double parked, everything, just to get. So you've got to think that congestion can't happen right now. And it's massive. We've got to think about how we do that in a controlled manner. We can't have 100 people meeting up anymore and squeezing through that one gate into a 3G pitch. It will need to be controlled. But the one thing I do know is the passion of our volunteers will make that happen. Because I'm already seeing people giving us ideas and suggesting things. So you're already seeing clubs starting to think quite well, because they're amazing. They're simply amazing.
So in many, many sports, one would imagine that there's been a massive lull because of lockdown. But from what you're describing, it seems like there could be positives. It's like an injury back stronger.
Yeah. We've seen people go out. We've seen people embrace outdoor exercise like we've never seen before. We've seen mums and dads passionately say, right, I might know nothing about this sport, but you love it. I'll go out the back door. I'll put a couple of cones down. What do you need me to do? I think there's maybe an opportunity maybe to grab some more parents and say that coaching at a grassroots level particularly is fun. We capitalise on opportunities and we say, right, let's do it. And I think that's what we need to speak to the government about as well. We need to say to them, let's make sure that we don't lose this moment in time of people wanting to participate. Maybe it's a one time in our life, maybe 2020, when we look back on it and you think, gosh, this horrible thing happened to us. But maybe it's the one time we become a sporting nation. I'm very passionate about that. I go across to I'm very lucky, I'm very privileged. I get to speak to so many people and go to other countries. But they are very sporting nations. They cycle to their venues, they run to their venues. The whole of society is set up to play sport. And we love sport in this country. But we might not be a sporting nation yet. So let's work with the government to say, let's change that. I'm so delighted to see so many more cycle tracks going. Delighted about that, because maybe we can start to cycle to venues to play football. We start to capitalise on a lot of good stuff, so maybe there's a great opportunity here to look and say what has the power of football and the power of sport can do for society. And maybe we'll look back in 10 years' time and say, that was the defining moment where we really put sport at the front and centre of what is important to us as a nation.
So now the really, really difficult question. When do you think
when do we get back?
Could possibly get back?
Well, I think this is the bit that we need to be really phased about. This is the important bit. We've got a big role to play here. As we move into phase 3, we then, hopefully within the government's plan, we start to see the opportunity to maybe have smaller groups together. What those numbers are at the moment in time, I can't say, but I see us being able to say, on a 3G pitch, we have it segmented off and we have small groups participating socially distanced. And from then, what we then have to do, and this is the bit that we have to play a part, and this is what I plead with my football community to do, help us make sure that the government know that we can be trusted. Because if we show them that we can do these things in a safe manner, then we can take the next steps. When we look at all the other areas around about Europe and the other parts of the world, that's what they've done. They've taken a small step, they've re-evaluated. So if we can take that small step, then we can re-evaluate and say, can we make those groups slightly bigger? I plead with people just now, help us out. Let's all work together. Let's show respect, show kindness. Because if we do that together and we work as a big football family, we will come back. It's a plea to my beautiful football family. Let's work together. And then one day, not too far from now, a boy or girl will go by 2 players and slam the ball in the top net and run away celebrating. And we know that these smiles will come back.
I wish you well. Thank you very much for talking to me, and here's hoping for the safe return of community football in Scotland very soon. Thank you very much.
Rhona, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and a massive big thank you to the football community. Just thanks for what you've done, guys. I'll never be able to repay you. Never. So thank you.